up, rich friend? It's Gwen here, and I've got something special for all the parents out there who want to set their kids up for long-term success with their money. You know I'm all about helping you build wealth, but today we're going to make sure our kids are straight. This is the 40-30-20-10 rule, and I'm going to explain everything about how it works and how it's going to make your kids a millionaire.
We getting money, money, money. Wouldn't you mirror sharing gems with her getting money, money, money. Getting a line, growing money and getting money, money, money. It's your life, trying to give more life. Getting money, money.
First things first, hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and share this episode with another parent who's ready to raise financially smart kids. And let me know in the comments, what's the one money lesson you wish that you learned earlier in life? For more incredible and easy to implement strategies that get you to 7 figures and beyond, join me and my rich friends. Remember, the conversation is always different when you sit with winners, and you can sit with us because we are getting to the bag. The link to my rich friends is in the description of this episode, as well as linked to the top of the comments. Now, this is a simple but powerful lesson, and it's one that you can start teaching to your kids today, no matter how old they are. Whether they're getting an allowance or birthday money from grandma, this plan is going to help them develop solid money habits early on so they grow up knowing how to handle a bag when it comes their way and they're out of your house. Let's dive into what it is and how it can help your kids become financially independent in life, money, and mindset. The first part of this is for them to save 40% of all their income that comes in. Again, this could be allowance, it could be chore money, it could be birthday money from family and friends. Any money that they get, 40% of it immediately goes into savings. Now, you may say, why so much? First, it's because they ain't got no bills and they don't have any debt, which means they can afford to save more than us adults who have all these things to be concerned with. They've got youth on their side, so let's use it. Secondly, we want them to get comfortable with paying themselves first. Most of us adults have had to learn this, and some of us still haven't gotten the lesson. By teaching this practice to your kids and your teens, you establish the importance of them understanding that they are their most important bill, and they need to be prioritized before everything else. Third, saving is like a safety net. You know how life hits us unexpectedly? It comes at us real fast. Well, we want our kids to understand early on that having money saved up gives them options. It's about creating a cushion for emergencies, big goals, or even just peace of mind, knowing they've got money tucked away for a rainy day. For younger kids, this could mean saving up for something that they really want, like that new toy or new game they've been looking at. For older kids or teens, it might mean something like saving up for bigger things, like helping to pay for their first car, or even buying that brand new phone that just came out that they really want. The whole point is to get them into a habit of putting a good chunk of money away so they can have it when they need it most. And if you're still wondering why 40%, it's because saving should be a priority, not an afterthought. We want to build this muscle within them so that saving becomes second nature. Next, they get to spend 30% of their money. Now let's talk about the fun part, spending. We are going to give them 30% of their money to spend. And trust me, this is not just about letting them buy whatever they want without thinking. This is actually where they learn to manage their desires versus their needs. It teaches them how to budget, how to prioritize, and how to make thoughtful decisions. When they know they only have 30% to work with, it forces them to be selective. Do they want to spend it all at once on something small, or do they want to save up and buy something bigger later? This is a great way to teach patience, discipline, and the value of money. Plus, they'll quickly learn that once that 30% is gone, it's gone. So they better make it count. Now, don't get weak for them and decide that, well, if they spend all their 30%, then you're going to pop in and help them contribute some more money to whatever they want to buy. This is about building the discipline muscle and helping them realize early on that delayed gratification is a good thing. And let me tell you, giving your kids control over this part helps them feel so empowered. They start to understand that money is a tool that can give them freedom if it's used wisely. The next part, take 20% of their income and put it into investing. This is where it gets exciting, at least to me. Here's where it starts to get real exciting for the long term. 20% is going to go into investing. And yes, your kids can invest even when they're young. Now you might be thinking, but Gwen, how do I teach my kids about investing when I'm still learning about it myself? I got you. You don't have to make this complicated. Just start with the basics. Explain to them that investing is about making their money make money, essentially making their money work for them. Whether it's buying ETFs or REITs, and I have a whole video on REITs, or how you can essentially own real estate, or how you can essentially become a real estate investor for less than $100. Right here, you can click on that video and check it out. Or even buying shares in a company that they're familiar with. It's their chance to start growing their money really early on. And if you want to make it fun, have them pick stocks in a company that they know and love. Is your kid obsessed with the video games like mine was? Let them buy EA Sports. What about Mickey and Minnie? Go for Disney. Or is your teen a tech head? Consider Apple and Google. Sports fanatic? Nike is a great bet. The point is to get them excited about not just being a consumer of these companies, but to teach them how they can literally own these companies. The key here is that they learn early on that investing is how they turn a little bit of money into a whole lot of money over time. This is a long-term play, and starting them young gives them a huge advantage. As I mentioned, it helps establish delayed gratification, which is a trait all of us parents want to cultivate in our kids and our teens. Trust me on this, teaching your kids to invest is one of the best gifts you could ever give them. The earlier they start, the more they'll have later. Check this out. Just look at the math on this. Let's say your kid is an older child, like 15 years old, and they invest $1,000 in the stock market and only put in another $100 a month. With the average stock market return of 10%, they'll have about $1,153,206 by the time they retire. So you tell me if it's valuable to them. Obviously, if your kid is younger, they'll have even more money when you implement this strategy with them. And I'm telling you this from my own experience with my son. Sharing these numbers with your child gets them so excited. When my son realized that by the age of 40, he will have over $6 million, all he wanted to do from that point on was invest his money. He wanted to invest even more than the 20% I had stipulated for him. So go ahead, show these numbers to your kids. A really good way to do is to use a compound interest calculator. I've linked 2 of them in the description of this episode for you, so you can use it when teaching your kids about investing, and you can even use it for yourself. The next part, the last 10% of their money is going to go toward giving. This is about teaching your kids to be good humans. When we're teaching our kids to give, we're teaching them to think beyond themselves. Because let's be frank, some kids can be selfish. Like, they just can, right? Like, it's their show, especially when they're little. Think about a baby. It doesn't matter what you're doing. If the baby wants to eat, the baby's crying right now. Stop what you're doing, come feed me. If they're a toddler and they want to play with a certain toy and you give them a different toy, what do? They throw it at you. And they cry and holler and scream until they get the one that they want. And if you got a teenager like I do, we all know how that teenage attitude can rear its ugly head sometimes. Obviously, this doesn't mean that our kids are bad people. I would never say that. But it does mean that we are here to steward them and guide them. And teaching them to take 10% of their money to give away. We want to teach our kids to be less selfish. We want to teach them to give and think beyond their world. So whether it's tithing to your church, donating to a charity, giving to someone in need, or even supporting a cause that they're really passionate about. This 10% helps them understand that they're part of something way bigger. Money isn't just about what they can get with it. It's also a way for them to make the world a better place. It's about gratitude, empathy, and realizing that giving is a powerful way to make positive change. And you know what might be surprising? I found that kids and teens often get even more excited about this category once they start seeing how their money can help others. It's a beautiful way to nurture generosity and compassion. Okay, now that we've broken it down, let's talk about how to implement this plan. First, make it visual. You can open a joint bank account for you and your child. You're going to want to open 4 different high yield savings accounts. 1 for saving, 1 for spending, 1 for investing, and 1 for giving. And then you're going to open 1 checking account, but make sure this checking account is at a completely different bank than the high yield savings accounts. And I'll talk about why in just a minute. The high yield savings accounts will allow them to generate far more passive income than if they left their money in a traditional bank or if they kept it at home in cash. Now, when they're ready to use their 30% that's designated for spending, transfer that money from the high yield savings account into the checking account that you've opened for them. They're kids, so they're likely not spending money every single day like an adult would. So while it's sitting in the bank, it might as well earn as much passive income interest as it possibly can. This also helps with delayed gratification because the money's not available immediately because it's going to take at least 1 to 2 business days for it to get transferred from the high yield savings account over to the checking account that's in a completely different bank. So this gives them time to think about, do they really want to spend this money or not? Next thing, make money management consistent. Whether it's a weekly allowance, birthday money, cash from doing chores, or even if they have a part-time job after school. Make sure they're using the system every time they get paid, no exceptions. This consistency, led by you, will help turn these actions into lifelong habits. Finally, have weekly check-ins. Talk to them about how they're going to use their money for each category. Maybe they're saving up for something special, or maybe they've invested in a certain stock and they want to see how it's doing. Keep this conversation regular and ongoing so they stay engaged and excited about this money journey. This teaches them that in order to manage their money, they have to remain consistent about watching it and seeing what it's doing. The goal is to make their money work for them, and they can't do that if they're not keeping an eye on it regularly. Teaching your kids how to use this simple 40, 30, 20, 10 method will set them up in ways that they'll thank you for now and definitely into the future. Trust me, this is how you raise future millionaires and financially savvy adults. And as you can see, it doesn't take a lot of money. They have youth on their side, so let's use it. Compound interest favors the young. So if you can start your kids with just $1,000 and just have them add $100 to it every single month, they're gonna have millions upon millions of dollars by the time they're 40, 50, and definitely by the time they're of the age of retirement. And while we're on the subject of teaching our kids to be money smart now and for the rest of their lives, they're gonna need to know some terms so they can understand how all this money stuff works. My financial literacy flashcards are available on my website right now. And while we're on the subject of teaching our kids to be money smart, you and I both know they're not teaching this stuff in school. So it's up to you to make sure that your kids don't fall flat, because the school systems are not doing it. They'll spend a whole semester teaching your kid how to do the Pythagorean theorem and the order of operations and calculus, which they may or may never use in their life. They won't teach them that putting a little money away will lead to huge pockets later. They won't teach them how to not pay taxes. They won't teach them the loopholes that will keep them from having to pay any taxes at all. And they certainly won't teach them the secrets of the 1%. That's where you've got to step in. And in order to know all these things, they've got to be financially literate, and they've got to know the language of money. Since the schools aren't teaching these things, you can teach it yourself. And I have the perfect tool for you. You can grab my financial literacy flashcards on my website and help teach your kids at home, because you know the schools ain't doing it. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to smash that like button, hit that subscribe button if you're not already a subscriber, hit that bell for notifications so you never miss out on any of these gems, hacks, and tips that I be giving out, and share this with another parent who's ready to raise financially savvy kids. Don't forget to let me know in the comments, what's the one money lesson that you wish that you learned earlier in life? I know for me, I wish that someone had sat down and explained the stock market to me in a way that I could truly understand it. Obviously, I knew what the stock market was, and I knew that you could buy shares in companies, but actually how it works, the financials of it all, and honestly, the simplicity of how easy it is to start with just a little and make millions, that would have been invaluable to me when I was younger. So let me know what yours is in the comments. Again, for more easy to implement and easy to understand money strategies that's going to get you from 0 to 7 figures and beyond, make sure you come sit with us in My Rich Friends. The link is in the description and pinned to the top of the comments. See you later, rich friend. Love you. Bye.